You are 10. The veil blinds you. Drums pound. Torches flare. The great hall of Castle Corel smells of wax and iron. Year 1327. A forgotten kingdom in southern Europe. Serenia of Corel, a child wrapped in silk and fear, walks across stone steps carved for giants. The veil falls heavy against your cheeks. Each pearl sewn into its edge feels like a stone dragging you down. You're not walking toward an altar. You're walking toward a man 3 times your age. King Renatus IV, your uncle. His crown gleams under the torchlight, but his eyes do not. They're sharp, grey, and fixed on you, not as kin, but as possession. The crowd murmurs, a sea of faces blurred by the veil. Some avert their gaze. Others whisper blessings that taste of ash. At the edge of the dais, Canon Mathieu of Lyrus raises a cross. His hands tremble, yet he says the words, "In holy union, sealed before God." But God does not answer. Only the drums do. The veil muffles the world. The chants, the clapping, the shuffling of robes, all sound distant, as though you're underwater. Lady Ameline Vera, your handmaid, watches from the shadows. Her auburn braid is damp with tears she does not dare to shed in public. Every step forward is a theft, not of land, not of treasure, but of childhood. The veil, once a symbol of purity, is now a gag, a silken silence tied across your face. Would you have survived such a night? Subscribe to uncover more. The words echo, then fade. The hall presses closer. The veil warms with your breath, each exhale fogging the pearls. You cannot see clearly. You can only feel. Renatus extends his hand. Thick rings cut into his flesh. His voice carries the weight of command, not affection. Come forward, Serenia. Your name, spoken by him, no longer belongs to you. It feels stolen, like everything else. The veil shifts as you kneel. Stone bites your knees. Mathieu blesses the union again, this time louder, as though volume could drown his conscience. He dares not look at you. He dares not look at Renatus. The year is 1327. The palace banners ripple overhead. Outside, peasants gather in the courtyard to hear bells announcing a royal marriage. They cheer for bread, not for you. None know that the bride is 10. None care that she is marrying her uncle. Renatus lifts the veil, just enough to see your lips, not enough to let you breathe. His eyes search your face, not for fear, he already knows it's there, but for obedience, and you give it, not by choice, by force of silence. The crown upon his head glints, the veil upon yours absorbs the torchlight. Crown and veil, symbols meant to bless, have become weapons. Midway through the vows, you feel the fabric press tighter against your skin. Your vision narrows, the veil clings to your mouth as though it wants to swallow your voice whole. You try to speak. The words dissolve. In that moment, you understand. You're not Serenia of Corel anymore. You're not a daughter. You're not even a child assistant. You are only a bride. The veil, lowered in the great hall, has stolen everything else, and as Renatus clasps your hand before the silent witnesses of Castle Corel, you realize the veil that crowned you did not bless you. It suffocated you. The doors of Castle Corel groan shut behind you. The cheers of the hall vanish. What remains is silence, thicker than the velvet curtains that swallow the torchlight. The year is 1327, the wedding night of Serenia of Corel. You're 10 years old. The crown has claimed you, but it is here, behind the chamber doors, that your childhood will be stripped away. The veil still hangs across your face. Its lace scratches your lips with each shallow breath. What was meant to bless you has become a blindfold, dragging you into darkness. King Renatus IV follows. His footsteps are slow, deliberate, each one hammering into the stone like judgment. He does not speak. He does not need to. The silence already belongs to him. Canon Mathieu of Liry stands in the corner clutching a bronze cross. His lips move in blessing, but his eyes refuse to meet yours. His voice is low, almost apologetic. God sanctifies this night. But the words sound hollow. Even he does not believe them. Lady Ameline Vera waits at the doorframe. Her auburn braid trembles as she bows her head. She dares not protest. But when the iron lock turns, sealing the chamber, tears spill silently down her cheek. They fall onto the stone floor, vanishing like every prayer she cannot voice. You are left with Renatus, and the veil. He reaches forward and pulls it from your head. The pearls snap as the threads tear. The fabric crumples in his fist, no longer a symbol of purity but discarded skin, useless now that it has served its purpose. He drops it to the floor. The veil lies at your feet, limp and lifeless. You want to pick it up, to clutch it like a shield, but you cannot. Renatus circles you. His robe of crimson velvet brushes against your ivory gown, crown against silk, power against obedience. His eyes narrow, measuring not beauty but ownership. In the forgotten courts of Europe, rituals like these were praised as holy. A child offered to a king was called sacrifice for dynasty. To strip lace was to secure succession. To tear a veil was to bind kingdoms together. But to you it is not ritual. It is ruin. The chamber feels colder with each moment. The tapestries sag. The crucifix on the wall tilts, its shadow stretching long, as if it too cannot watch. Canon Mathieu mumbles another blessing, then lowers his gaze. He turns his body half away, ashamed. For priests across medieval Europe, silence was easier than rebellion. Obedience to kings came before protection of children. Tonight, his silence becomes your sentence. The veil remains on the floor, a pale reminder of what has been torn away. Its lace glimmers faintly in the torchlight, as though mocking you. Fragile, beautiful, and powerless. Lady Ameline cannot hear you. The walls are thick, the lock too heavy. She waits on the other side, rosary clenched in her hand, praying for mercy she knows will not come. You stand frozen, the air taste of wax and iron. Your knees weaken. The gown stitched for celebration now feels like a shroud. The pearls that once crowned you dig into your skin heavy as chains, and yet the veil lies closer to you than to him. You stare at it, half hoping, half dreading. The fabric no longer hides you, but it has become something worse, a reminder that the child you were is gone. The night stretches long. The ritual ends not with bells, but with silence. When dawn comes, the veil still rests on the floor, crumpled, lifeless, torn, and Serenia of Corel rises no longer as a daughter, no longer as a child, only as a bride, but queenship demanded more suffering. The year is 1328. The palace of Corel rises over the valley, its spires gilded in sunlight, but its halls echo with silence. Not the silence of peace, the silence of fear. You are Serenia of Corel, 11 years old now, a queen in name but not in safety. Each day begins the same, Renatus's voice filling the chamber, sharp, cold, cutting through stone. He calls it correction. He calls it obedience. The courtiers call it duty, but to you, it is pain. His hand falls not just in anger, but in ritual. A blow to the cheek for a word spoken too softly. A strike across the shoulders for a glance too slow. You learn that silence is the only shield. By 1329, the court accepts it as routine. Servants look away. Priests preach patience. Nobles murmur of discipline as though cruelty were law itself. The veil, the same veil Renatus tore from you on your wedding night, lies hidden now. You keep it pressed into the corner of a wooden chest, stained with red threads where pearls once cut your skin. Each mark on its lace is a ledger of nights you survived, a secret history no chronicle will ever preserve. Alaric, your half-brother, prowls the corridors. 17, golden-haired, arrogant. He sees your bruises and laughs. Queens bruise too easily, he jeers. His tunic gleams with gold embroidery, but his eyes glitter only with cruelty. He is the mirror of Renatus, younger, sharper, eager to inherit the same dominion. In the banquet hall, courtiers pretend not to notice. When you walk past, veil lowered to hide the swelling, they bow their heads, not out of respect, but out of convenience. To acknowledge you would be to acknowledge the violence, and acknowledgement is dangerous. The palace itself seems to learn the rhythm of punishment. Doors creak closed as you pass. Servants' whispers fall silent at your approach. Even the tapestries along the walls, once embroidered with saints and victories, look away as though ashamed. Every bruise becomes a lesson. Every silence, survival. One night, as winter frost whitens the windows, Lady Amelin finds you shivering near the hearth. She dares not speak, but she kneels beside you, pressing a cloth to your cheek. Her hands tremble, her eyes glisten, yet she whispers only one word: endure. It is both comfort and command. Canon Mathieu too watches in silence. During Mass he raises his eyes to heaven but lowers them when they meet yours. The cross he lifts feels heavier in his hands, for each bruise on your face is another weight upon his conscience. Yet he says nothing. He will never say anything. The veil waits in the chest. Each time you press it between your hands, you remember what has been taken. Childhood, voice, safety. Its lace is stiff now, no longer soft. The stains have darkened. You trace them like a scholar reading a manuscript, each blotch a chapter, each tear a verse. It is your secret scripture, written in silence. Renatus calls you obedient. The court calls you disciplined. But you know the truth. Obedience has not been taught. It has been beaten into your skin. The Palace of Corel in 1329 is alive with music and feasts, with the laughter of nobles and the clink of goblets. Yet behind every echo is another sound, hidden, muffled, carried in memory, the sound of silence after pain. You survive by erasing yourself, by folding your voice into the veil hidden in the chest, by letting silence stand where words once lived. Her body became the parchment of his reign. Each bruise, a line no historian would ever write. The year is 1329. The Palace of Corel rings with bells, but they do not toll for loss. They ring for an heir. You are 12. Serenia of Corel, queen in name, child in truth. The court celebrates your swelling belly as triumph. To them, your body is no longer fragile. It is political lifeline, the womb of a dynasty. At banquets, goblets are raised to your blessing. Nobles murmur of succession, of the strength of King Renatus' bloodline. None speak of the child who carries that weight, of the girl whose spine aches beneath layers of velvet, whose steps falter under the gaze of a kingdom. The veil, once torn and hidden, is brought back into the chamber. Lady Amelin smooths it with trembling hands, laying its lace across the cradle being prepared. She whispers, "A queen must leave something behind." Her voice breaks on the last word. By the spring of 1330, the birth comes. The night is long. The walls of Corel shudder with the cries of servants rushing, of priests chanting prayers to saints who do not answer. You bleed, you weaken. The crown is too heavy, the body too young. Each contraction feels like tearing parchment. The world blurs, vision narrowing to torches that hiss against stone, to Renatus's impatient pacing at the chamber door. Canon Mathieu kneels, cross-pressed tight to his chest, muttering blessings, though even his faith fractures when he sees you tremble on the bed. He does not look at your face. He dares not. Hours pass. The hall outside grows restless. A dynasty waits. A child's body labours. And then, silence, followed by a wail. Not yours, his. A son is born. The court erupts in joy. Trumpets sound in the square. The lineage is secured, but you lie still, breath ragged, bones hollow. At 12, you are both mother and near corpse. The veil is taken from its hiding place and draped inside the cradle, lace stiff with old stains. What once marked your suffering now swaddles the future king. The court calls it fitting. They call it symbolic. The queen's veil for the prince's first bed. But you know the truth. It is a shroud. Not for him, for you. Lady Amelin weeps quietly as she places the child upon the veil. Her tears fall where pearls once glittered. She looks at you as though begging forgiveness, though she has committed no crime but witnessing. Renatus enters at last, his crown heavy with triumph. He does not see the hollowness in your eyes. He does not hear the silence between your breaths. He only sees the boy, the son who will carry his name. The nobles speak of succession. Priests preach of blessing. Songs are written of the night the kingdom gained an heir. But history does not write of the girl who lost herself. The veil in the cradle glows faintly in the torchlight. To others it is beauty. To you it is a reminder. Lace turned into chains, motherhood carved from ruin. Spring passes into summer. Corel thrives. Yet within the walls of the palace you shrink further. Each glance at the cradle steals another fragment of the child you once were. Each cry of your son echoes louder than your own lost voice. She gave birth to a son. But what died that night was her childhood. The palace of Corel glitters with banners of crimson and gold. Trumpets announce your entrance. Courtiers bow, their jewels clinking, their voices rising in rehearsed praise. But you, Serenia of Corel, enter veiled. The silk hides the swelling of your cheek, the bruise blossoming beneath your eye. Pearls scatter light across the fabric, disguising pain as ornament. To the crowd, you are radiant. To yourself, you are hidden. The veil has become a mask. Priests chant as you move forward, incense rising in curls above the throne. Canon Mathieu of Lyris lifts his cross and proclaims, "Obedience is the crown of a wife." His voice trembles, yet his eyes never leave the floor. He preaches submission as if it were salvation. The hall nods in unison. Alaric stands near the dais, now 19, broad-shouldered with hair that glows like gold. His grin is cruel, deliberate. He whispers just loud enough for others to hear, "Our queen wears her silence well." Laughter ripples through the chamber, masked as courtesy. Nobles sip from their goblets. None speak in your defence. The court calls it honour, but you know it is spectacle. Every appearance is staged. Each feast, each sermon, each procession through Corel streets is a performance of obedience. The people do not see bruises, they see pearls. They do not hear silence, they hear virtue. And yet, the veil presses tighter with each day. Once it blinded you. Then it was torn from you. Now it conceals you, masking what they will not acknowledge. The year turns to 1333. The chapel of Corel overflows with nobles. You kneel before the altar, veil lowered, while Renatus rests his hand upon your shoulder like a weight. Canon Mathieu preaches again. A wife's silence is her beauty, her obedience her crown. His words echo against stone walls until they no longer sound like one man's voice, but like law itself. Lady Amelin stands at the edge of the crowd. Her rosary beads clatter softly as she prays, eyes closed, unwilling to watch the humiliation repeated before her. She alone weeps, but quietly. Tears are forbidden in these ceremonies. Alaric steps forward once more. He lifts your veil slightly, as though curious, then lets it fall back with mocking grace. The court laughs again, louder this time, as though cruelty were entertainment. To them, the veil is not a mask, it is a curtain for a play, and you are the stage. The palace of Corel in 1333 thrives on this spectacle. Markets bustle, soldiers train, peasants cheer the royal carriage. Yet within its halls, silence is paraded as proof of order. Your son sleeps in the nursery, swaddled in the same veil that once marked your suffering. The cradle rocks gently, lined with lace that carries the weight of scars, and while he dreams of nothing, you dream of nothingness. The veil has grown heavier, not with pearls but with shame. Renatus calls you dutiful, priests call you blessed, Alaric calls you spectacle, and the court calls you queen. But beneath the mask you are none of these things. Beneath the veil you are invisible. She was paraded as queen but treated as a ghost. The year is 1345. The palace of Corel still gleams in sunlight, but its halls are darker now, not from shadow, but from suspicion. King Renatus IV, once feared, now falters. His beard greys, his hands shake. He mutters of betrayal in every corner, seeing enemies in every smile. The crown on his head no longer commands reverence, it commands whispers, and you, Serenia of Corel, no longer tremble, your silence has hardened. What began as survival has become power. The veil still rests across your face, but it no longer feels like a gag. It is armour, a shield. Courtiers kneel when you pass, not because Renatus demands it, but because your silence unsettles them. In the mid-1340s across Europe, queens and dowagers began to rule from the shadows. In Corel, that shadow is yours. At councils, Renatus rages. His voice cracks, echoing down the marble halls. "Obey me or be broken," he bellows. Yet no one moves until your head inclines just slightly, behind the veil. The courtiers wait for your silence. They trust it more than his words. Alaric, grown bolder at 29, still sneers, but even he hesitates. He sees what the others see, that silence can weigh more than speech, that a lowered veil can command more fear than a raised sword. Canon Mathieu of Liris, once guilty and trembling, now bows lower each time he blesses you. He knows his prayers mean less than your silence. The cross in his hand shakes as he speaks. It is not God he fears. It is the queen veiled before him. Renatus senses it. His paranoia sharpens. He begins to suspect even you, the child he once beat into obedience. He orders guards at your doors, forbids you from private counsel, watches your every movement. Yet the more he cages you, the more others gather at your side. Lady Amelin Vera moves quietly through the palace, her rosary hidden in her sleeve. She carries messages, soft glances, quiet loyalties. She knows what the court now whispers, that Karel survives not through the king's command, but through the queen's silence. In banquets, Renatus drinks deep, his voice loud, his laughter jagged. Nobles raise goblets, but their eyes drift toward you. You say nothing, you raise no cup, yet your silence hangs heavier than his revelry. The veil glimmers under candlelight. Its pearls no longer disguise bruises, they reflect strength. What once concealed shame now conceals strategy. By 1346, Renatus grows gaunt. His crown tilts on his head. He lashes out at servants, accuses allies, banishes friends. Each outburst hollows him further. Each silence from you fills the void. You stand at the dais, sun at your side, veil lowered across your lips. The boy fidgets, still too young to understand, but the nobles understand. They bend their heads toward you, not him, not the king. The palace of Corel has shifted. Its axis is no longer the throne, it is the veil. Renatus roars. You remain silent, and silence wins. The veil, once torn from you, once stained, once mask of humiliation, is now weapon. A curtain no one dares to lift. The bride once beaten was now the queen others feared. The bells of Corel toll, not for birth, not for marriage, but for death. King Renatus IV is gone. The man who ruled with fist and fear lies beneath stone, crown resting on his chest. The throne stands empty. And into that silence steps Serenia of Corel. You're 32, but you have carried silence since you were 10. The courtiers gather in the great hall. Tapestries hang heavy, their colours fading. The throne gleams under torchlight, yet it feels colder than the marble beneath your feet. You enter veiled. You do not lift it, not for them, not for the throne, not even for your son standing at your side, too young to rule, too old to be blind. The veil is no longer bridal, no longer burial. It has become the crown itself. The nobles bow low. They whisper among themselves, "She wears no jewels, she speaks no words, yet she commands." And they are right. In late 1340s Europe, shadow queens ruled from behind curtains and councils, but in Corel, the queen ruled from behind a veil. Canon Mathieu of Liry blesses your coronation with a trembling hand. His voice wavers, his cross shivers in the air. He dares not meet your gaze. Perhaps he fears what he will see. Perhaps he fears what he will not. Alaric no longer mocks you. His arrogance has turned to silence. He avoids your eyes, remembering too well the sister queen who endured what he only mocked. His sword hangs unused at his side. The court does not rally around him, they rally around you. Lady Amelin, still at your side, adjusts the veil as you sit upon the throne. Her hands linger, as though she longs to see your face, but you do not allow it. She bows instead, pressing her rosary to her lips, tears glinting in her eyes. The veil hides them. The veil hides everything. The kingdom of Corel thrives again. Fields bloom, coffers fill. Yet in its heart sits a queen faceless to her people. You walk through city streets veiled. Mothers press children to the cobblestones. Fathers bend their knees. They glimpse pearls, silk, lace, but not you. They call you the silent queen. Some call you blessed, others call you cursed, but none call you forgotten. Not yet. In the council chambers, silence becomes decree. You speak rarely. A word here, a gesture there. Yet your silence outweighs their arguments. Nobles argue until their throats ache. Then they turn to you. A single tilt of your head ends the debate. The veil rules for you. Years pass. Tapestries fade further. Records thin. Chroniclers skip your name, preferring victories of men. Your image vanishes from murals. Your likeness is erased from coins. Only whispers remain, that Corel once had a queen who never showed her face. The veil, once torn in a chamber, once hidden in a chest, once laid in a cradle, has now become legend. And yet, what is legend if no one remembers the woman beneath? The great hall grows quieter with each year. Nobles die, new ones take their place. Even your son ascends, crowned beside you, but you remain veiled. You remain faceless. And when your final day comes, no one knows if you die as queen, as mother, as daughter, or as ghost. She was crowned in silence, ruled in silence, and died in silence. Was she forgotten, or buried alive in history's veil? If this unsettled you, share it with those who dare confront history's darkest truths. Subscribe for more journeys into the shadows.